Hi there, this is David and welcome to my impressions and before you buy of Atlas Wept, to be released on the PC on January the 17th. I've spoken about this game extensively in some upcoming news release videos and then in the new RPG news shows, and it's definitely piqued my interest. So I was super happy when I was offered a copy for review, and it just looks really retro-y and EarthBound-y, and I can appreciate that. So before we get started, if you're new here to the channel, please be sure to like the video to show your love, as well as subscribe for some more news, top 10 lists, and reviews. And now, let's go ahead and dive deep into Atlas Wept. To explain this game in a nutshell, I would say that it's essentially EarthBound crossed with Undertale. I think that's probably the most succinct, easiest way to describe it. Essentially, the overworld, maps, and characters, and the entire aesthetic really, it's very EarthBound inspired. But the battle system is where it takes its Undertale inspiration from. But this is not just a complete rip-off of either game, it definitely does do its own thing, for better or for worse. So let's start here at the beginning. This game is set on a distant planet and you follow two separate groups of children as they set out on their separate journeys to discover the mysteries of the world. Desi is trapped in some sort of Groundhog Day situation until she meets Charlie, so she breaks free and then they both set forth to unravel the mystery of why people's memories are getting erased, while Hal and Lucy climb deep underground to seek the truth behind Gigi the robot dog's existence, as well as why their country is enveloped in a force field and why the evil brown-eyed people are attacking it. Throughout the game, you'll alternate between the two different groups across 12 total chapters, slowly piecing together the entire narrative. As you wander around, it's really easy to think something like, oh, this is just like an SNES RPG. This is just like EarthBound. How wonderful. But then, as you get further, the disappointment will set in, as you realize that you're completely on rails, so much so that you can't even explore inside people's houses, or go inside of a shop, or even upgrade your equipment. In fact, you don't have any equipment. All you'll find throughout your exploration will be crummy healing items that you'll probably never use, attacking items that you'll definitely never use, and money that's just completely redundant because the vending machines just sell the same items that you just end up finding. Other than items and money, you can rarely find two different ways to upgrade your characters: memory chips and stamps. Memory chips will bestow one of your guys with a different ability before vanishing, and stamps will permanently upgrade their stats. Essentially, every character has a different stamp book, and once you place the stamps into the book, you'll upgrade that certain stat. Once the stamp is placed, you can't lift it off and move it over to somebody else, but you can stamp over it. These two upgrade systems do seem pretty neat, and they do encourage exploration. However, you're not really going to want to explore all that much because, well, the main downer with this game was the battle system. It's just so slow. And because of that, it really discouraged me from ever going off the beaten path to explore anything. One typical normal encounter would take me upwards of 5 minutes. And you could just forget it if multiple enemies join in. You're looking at upwards of 10 minutes just for that one normal encounter alone. And I suppose that wouldn't be so bad if encounters were few and far between, but they're not. You encounter enemies here as often as you would back in EarthBound. So let's talk about why this all takes so long. If you've played Undertale before, then you know what to expect here. But while it was quick in Undertale, it ain't here. You can control a party of up to 4 different characters, and rather than a turn-based system, this utilizes an active turn-based system. So many times you're just stuck, waiting around, doing absolutely nothing while the timer slowly ticks up to enter in your turn. Then, when it's finally your turn, you can choose your basic commands of attacking, magic, items, or singing. But everything here is on a timer mechanic. Whenever you attack and then hit the A button at the right time, you can initiate a combo attack. When you cast your magic spells and then stop the gauge at the right time, you can deal further damage. In addition to just dealing damage though, every enemy has a stun meter, which you're definitely going to want to make the most out of, because if you hit an enemy whenever they're not stunned, it's not going to deal near enough damage to even make a dent into their massive HP values. So every single battle becomes the same thing. It becomes use magic to get them stunned, Then, when they're finally stunned, switch over to physical attacks to then lower their HP some. Then, when the stun meter wears off, switch back to magic, so on and so forth until they finally die. But you can't just cast your best magic spells right from the get-go, God forbid, because you don't have MP. Instead, you have inspiration points, and each turn you'll gain a little bit more of these points based upon your focus stat. So you're kind of constantly regenerating and gaining MP as the battle goes on, till you get enough for a spell, then you blast them. But whenever an enemy attacks you, it's not like they just kind of like register their damage. Instead, it initiates a small minigame, where if you dodge incoming bullets or attacks or whatever, and if you do it perfectly, then you'll take no damage. But if you really screw up, prepare for the hurt. And here is really where those difficulty modes come into play. And there are 4 of them. A challenge mode, the regular mode, easier, and then casual. And the lower your difficulty is, the slower the enemy attacks will be. So if you're really bad at it like I am, there ain't no shame in lowering that difficulty level. All told, it was really fun, involved, and interesting. It's just such a shame that it's slow as molasses. Because of that ATB system, you can't just input all of your attacks at one time. So many times you're kind of like waiting around just so you can input attacks. Then, after you make a physical hit, there's an extra small message saying that you swung your baseball bat, or your tennis racket, or your jump rope, or whatever, and that adds in an extra couple of seconds. And then these few seconds here and there definitely add up when the encounter rate is just through the roof. In Undertale 2, you did have encounters, but they weren't near as frequent. But here, the SNES encounter rate is back with a vengeance. So anything that slows down the already slow battle system is really a drag. So everything that I've said thus far is just like little nitpicks here and there. But the real thing, the main issue, is that enemies just have way too much HP. I mean, seriously, right now, I'm going to put on one battle, and y'all can watch it through this next paragraph or until the battle ends, and you'll see how long these things are. You will see exactly what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. And no, this isn't a boss battle either. This is one regular, normal, random encounter. And like I said, they're all over the place. This is an EarthBound encounter rate with monsters around every single corner and with huge maps. It really just made me dread exploration and really made me dread going off the beaten path, because I just didn't want to get into like another 10-minute encounter just to find some random money and useless healing item. I mean, the game itself has potential, and the storyline looks like it could be interesting, but who in their right mind is going to slog through all these endless encounters just for the chance at a decent story? I'm certainly not going to. I really did go into this game with high hopes and high expectations, but wow. This is just the case of enemies not being balanced properly, I suppose. I mean, like, seriously, who gives a random encounter in the very first area over 500 HP whenever your basic attacks do like 20 to 50 damage? That's just crazy to me. And yeah, there is that stun system where you can deal a lot of damage, but I feel like that shouldn't be required for every single little teeny tiny mob that you encounter. And all that alternating between physical and magical damage just drags these out even longer. This here is a prime example of not judging a book by its cover, because to me this looks beautiful on the outside, but it sure is rotten on the inside. Don't get me wrong here, I get no joy at all from doing this, and I do try my hardest to support indie developers, and this one here was developed by a single person, but so was Chained Echoes. And Chained Echoes was like Game of the Year. That thing was fantastic. So I do hope that they take this feedback for what it is, constructive criticism, and they use that to patch their game similar to what the developers of Redemption Reapers did after I blasted that crummy little game upon release. They went and they made Redemption Reapers so much better. So I do have high hopes that hopefully this developer will take my feedback into account too and make their game so much better. Because random encounters should last no more than like 3 rounds. They shouldn't last 20-something rounds just to complete. So again, I do hope that the developer can take this in stride and improve their game, but upon release, these are my impressions and my opinions, and I have to share them with you, and I have to be honest. It does look like it has a lot of potential, but every single enemy needs their HP cut in half, and the battle system needs the fat cut out of it too. We're not in the NES era anymore, and no one has the patience for this, especially me. So that's it for my impressions and review of Atlas Wept for the PC. What do you feel about this game, and will you be getting it? Let me know about it in the comments, and let's get a discussion going on here, and let's all talk and chat about it. And if you like what I do here on the channel, please head on over to the Patreon to sign up for early access to my videos, as well as behind the scenes photographs. The link to it is over in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.